What is up? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Pierre, and this is Jason. And today we are back reviewing a new-ish film that is I found it streaming. I know it was in theaters and still is in theaters, but it's actually streaming now. I think I paid for it. I don't remember where I found it. It wasn't. I don't know. It was like on demand or something like that. I think so. I think that's
Yeah,
where
I
I
don't.
found it.
It's not included with any streamer right now. You'd have to like rent it on Amazon or Fandango or Vudu or something.
I think you
Yeah,
can get it almost anywhere now. You just have to rent it. But that
yeah.
movie is actually The Green Knight. And I say, without further ado, I say we get right into it. I'm actually going to let you take this one.
So The Green Knight is a new movie by David Lowery, who is one of my favorite upcoming filmmakers. It is well. Let me talk about him a little bit because I really like the way this guy's going. He has made a movie in pretty much every one of his movies has been in a different genre so far. Like his first movie called Ain't Nobody Saints it's probably his weakest one in my opinion. I liked it. I didn't love it. It's kind of a Western drama, I guess you could say. It's got some violence in it, but it's not really like an action Western. And then he made I don't know if I'm getting the order right exactly, but he made a movie called A Ghost Story, which is sort of a horror film, but not really. More kind of like a metaphysical weird thing. He did the live-action version of Pete's Dragon, which is one of the best family films and Disney films I've seen in this century. Honestly, it's one of the best films of the last several years, in my opinion. He did The Old Man and the Gun, which is kind of like a noir drama, heist movie a little bit. And he made, I think I'm missing one. But anyway, and now he's made this kind of medieval fantasy. So I really like that he's kind of going in all these different directions. And so far, in my opinion, he's done everything really in an interesting, unique fashion. But anyway, The Green Knight, it's based on a medieval poem by Anonymous. Nobody knows who wrote it. But it's called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Gawain, I think is the way it's pronounced. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. That is still pretty popular. It still gets adapted fairly regularly. But it stars Dev Patel, who I mainly still know from Slumdog Millionaire, as Sir Gawain. And the story is basically about this. He's Sir Gawain, and the Green Knight is this kind of. I had to do kind of a Wikipedia research on this because I'm not really a medieval poetry expert. Yeah. But the Green Knight is this kind of tree creature kind of thing that comes into the round table and basically says, like, anybody who wants to lay a blow on me with an axe can do whatever they want to me as long as they are willing to take the same blow in return a year and a day from now. And it's Christmas, by the way, so it's on my list of Christmas movies now, by the way. So Sir Gawain takes him up on it, and thinking that that'll be the end of the story, he doesn't have to deal with it again, chops his head off. Unfortunately, the Green Knight is, unlike most humans, can withstand a decapitation, and picks his head up, and it's a very gruesome, kind of disturbing scene, and puts his head back on and says, okay, see you in a year, basically. So then it flashes forward a year, and it's basically about Sir Gawain's quest to meet the Green Knight and see what happens, basically, because he doesn't really know. He doesn't know if he'll be there waiting for him still. He doesn't know what's going to happen. So that's what it's about, essentially. Just to cut to the chase, like, I really, really, really like this movie. I'm not, like, I like medieval fantasy usually, but I know people who, when they see, like, somebody in, like, a suit of armor and they're carrying a sword, they're already sold, That's not me. Like, for me to be into, like, medieval fantasy, it needs to be, like, interesting in other ways. And to me, this is interesting in other ways. First of all, it's very R-rated, and I tend to gravitate toward, like, the darker stuff when it comes to medieval fantasy. And on both the violence level and the sexuality level, it's definitely very R-rated. It's not Lord of the Rings in that respect at all. And it's just a really interesting movie. It has a lot of really memorable images. It's unpredictable. It's got to me, the perfect ending. I was really kind of worried about the way it was going to end, and it had me really worried up until near the end, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's the way to do it. But I don't really kind of don't want to talk too much about it, because the joy of the movie, in my opinion, is finding out as it goes, his journey to meet the Green Knight. For he doesn't really know what's going to happen, and you don't really know what's going to happen either, and that's kind of the point. But it's got really amazing imagery. The acting is good. Like, it's got kind of this kind of, like, it feels real. You know what I mean? Like, like the locations, it feels real. It doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings, where it's like a fantasy world, although it still does feel kind of like a fantasy world, but in this kind of weird, gray, kind of surreal kind of way. But I don't know. It's my cup of tea. I know it's not everybody's. It's probably not yours, Kier. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I like weird movies and fantastical, violent, weird, sexual, Kubricky, David Lynchy kind of stuff. And this is like right up my alley. And I know it's not up everybody's alley, but it's definitely up my alley. So it's definitely one of my favorites of the year for sure. So, all right, Kier, tell us why you didn't like it.
Yeah, it's not, definitely don't love it as much as you do. I can't say that I hated it, because I wasn't bored. So there's something to be said about that. But
That's
I'm
good.
not big into fantasy films in general. Like, I didn't care for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's, I know that's, people love that kind of stuff. For medieval films, medieval time films, I do like them. Some of them anyways. I don't love every single one of them. I like Braveheart, Gladiator, the big ones I usually like, and some of the ones that maybe aren't as big. But I like a little bit more, I guess, realism when I'm watching those ones, versus the fantasy element of it, and like mythical creatures and things of that nature. Usually that's just not me. This one I thought was okay. I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. For me, it's just, I don't know. I felt like, I guess I was expecting a little more like action in it a little bit. The way that it started off, it kind of builds up as like this, like I said, I'm not going to go too much into his journey to go meet the Green Knight, but I felt like on his journey he was going to encounter, there was going to be a lot more elements to, like, for sword wielding and that kind of stuff. And there really wasn't a lot of that really at all in the film. So to me, it just didn't, there wasn't just enough meat in there for me personally. So like I said, it just, like nothing really happened that was earth shattering for me. That was like, oh wow, I'm really digging this film. I kept waiting for, like, okay, he keeps meeting and encountering like these different, encounter different people throughout the film. And, I'm expecting some sort of like, conflict. He's going to have to do battle or something of that nature. But, it just, it just doesn't ever turn out the way that I think or hope it's going to turn out for me. So in a nutshell, I mean, the story itself, I guess, is somewhat simplistic. And then we know what he's doing, and then the stuff that happens immediately in between, I guess either you love it like Jason does, or you just, weren't as interested in that kind of stuff. So, and I just wasn't. There just wasn't enough meat there for me, in between, like, him, the journey, which I dug the beginning. I dug, everything with the round table, all that. And, I dug the, when he goes and, basically cuts the head off of, the Green Knight, and then the head gets picked up, and then, now he's like, they sort him up, and, he has the weapon that he has to bring. And, I'm like, okay, he's about to go on some crazy adventure, and he's going to get into some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of bloodletting coming up here. And then it doesn't happen. So I don't know. Yeah. For me, it was just kind of a letdown. So, so like I said, it was just okay in my opinion. Definitely it's not going to make my top 10, and definitely it's not number 1 for me or anything of that nature. I thought it was just okay. So, and I know I'm not the only person that has that sentiment. Like I said, I'm sure there's going to be people that love this film, but there's clearly going to be a lot of people that, didn't love it. And I'm going to be in probably the latter category. So, but definitely glad you enjoyed it. Anything else you wanted to add about this one?
No. I forgot to add that it's also one of the reasons I also like it is that it's also borderline. I don't know. Some people, like, I think it's borderline like a horror film in a lot of ways too, because it's got ghosts and it's got monsters. Oh, yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's got definitely some horror imagery, and it definitely is more on the darker end of the fantasy. You know what I mean? Like, I like Lord of the Rings, but this is definitely more my kind of that kind of thing. You know, it's darker and weirder and more sinister. But yeah, okay. I just forgot to mention like the spooky stuff earlier. That's all.
Cool. Cool. Anything else you want to add besides the spooky stuff that, you know?
The spooky stuff. It's all about the spooky stuff.
Cool. Well, what is the overall grade and face you're going to give this one?
Oh, this checked every box for me. It's a 5 out of 5. So, you know, really happy. And it's like we were talking about before we started filming. It is currently my number one of non fiction, because I split my list. I have like a top of the year documentaries and performance films, and top of the year fiction, and it's definitely number one on the fiction list for right now.
Cool. It's probably number, I don't know, 70 for me.
Oh man!
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Of all time, that's pretty good.
Yeah. No, definitely not of all time. I can tell you that is 100% not going to be the case. No, like I said, I went ahead. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. So I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. It just didn't quite give it enough to give it a 3 or above for me. Just because, you know, I was hoping for a little more action for me in the middle. You know, it didn't have to be like an action pack, you know, medieval, but it's a medieval times film with like basically no action. So, you know, it's. You know, it just kind of felt like a sucker punch for me in that regard. So, so yeah, so I went with 2.5. So it's just pretty much kind of a straight face with maybe a hint of a smile, just like a. So, but you know, I don't know. Let us know down in the comments. Have you seen The Green Knight? Did you love it? Did you not love it? Where does it rank for you? As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification, and we'll be back again with another show for you guys again real soon. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye. Cool.